First on 5, we're learning more about the man who opened fire last night inside a Louisiana movie theater, killing 2 people and wounding 9 others.
The suspect, John Russell Hauser, has an Alabama connection. He lived in Phoenix City until about a year ago. He had several run-ins with the law, including arrests for domestic violence and arson in neighboring Columbus, Georgia. He was denied a concealed weapons permit in Russell County in 2006. He was evicted from a home in Phoenix City last year, where authorities say he tampered with a natural gas line and poured concrete into the sewage pipes. And that's not all.
We believe that he was being seen in 08 and 09 for mental illness here, and we have no idea about that mental illness record. The medical records, as you know, were sealed. And
last night, Hauser apparently took his anger a step further in Lafayette, Louisiana. 3 of the 9 victims who were wounded are now in stable condition. 2 others were treated and released last night. At least 1 victim remains in intensive care. The gunman ended up taking his own life.
Well, the rampage in Lafayette lasted a few minutes, but for people inside the movie theaters last night, those minutes seemed like hours.
On what should have been a regular Thursday night, an injured moviegoer is carried out of the movie theater in Lafayette, shot by a lone 59-year-old gunman 20 minutes into the movie Trainwreck.
Everyone was panicking. They were kind of doing the same thing as us. They were running to their cars because there was a lady who had a bloody leg.
2 women were killed, 9 wounded when John Hauser of Phoenix City, Alabama, opened fire with a .40 caliber handgun. The 2 women had the bad luck of sitting in front of him, and he shot them point blank. The victims are Macy Bro, she was just 21 years old, and Jillian Johnson, who was 33. Johnson is described as a brilliant artist who owned 2 retail stores. She loved the funky Louisiana culture. Bro was a gorgeous brown-eyed student at LSU who was studying to be a radiology tech. Her friends describe her as someone who had so much to give. The police chief says Hauser tried to escape in the chaos of the crowd.
The quick law enforcement response forced him back into the theater, at which time he shot himself.
Officers found wigs and other disguises in Hauser's hotel room, signs he may have been preparing for his escape.
Here we are in Lafayette, Louisiana, in the middle of a neighborhood of a movie theater. Why did he come here? Why did he do that? We don't know that.
Witnesses describe the horrific scene after the shooting. These 2 13-year-olds were in the theater across from where it happened.
All we heard was behind us, the people behind us saying, "Get out the theater now, this is not a drill." So we ran out as soon as we could, and all we heard was people saying, "Grab the children."
Now, Hauser tried to run out with everyone else, but when he saw police, he turned around and went back into an empty theater, and that's where he shot and killed himself.
Last night's shootings in Lafayette bring to mind other recent mass shootings. It was the country's 3rd mass shooting in the last 5 weeks. June 17th, 21-year-old Dylan Roof shot and killed 9 people inside the Emmanuel AME Church in Charleston, South Carolina. Following his arrest, he allegedly confessed to committing the shootings in hopes of igniting a race war.
And just 8 days ago, 4 Marines and a Navy sailor were killed when Mohammed Abdulaziz opened fire on 2 military installations in Chattanooga. He was killed in a shootout with police. Following those shootings, 8 states, including Mississippi and Alabama, authorized its National Guardsmen to arm themselves at state military facilities.
Some local Marines were showing their support today for their fallen brothers in Chattanooga. Members of the Marine Corps League, P.L. Wilson Detachment here in Mobile stood with flags in front of recruitment centers on Sage Avenue. It probably comes as no surprise that they are in favor of arming service members who are performing non-combat jobs here in the U.S.
Well, one thing we can do is a lot of us start carrying our pistols with us. And people have to think about, if they didn't know people got a gun, they're not going to come around.
Some members of the local Marine Corps League are traveling to Chattanooga for the funerals of the Marines who were killed there. The 3 mass shootings, Charleston, Chattanooga, Lafayette, have something in common. They all happened in so-called gun-free zones.
News 5's Emily DeVoe is live at Hollywood Theaters with a look at gun-free zones in Mobile and the policies for them. Emily?
Well, if we were to zoom all the way in, you'd probably just barely be able to see the sign posted on the window that says, "No guns here." It's the same story at the Carmike Theater on Schillinger. You see, private businesses have every right to restrict guns on their property, and if you're caught carrying one and refuse to leave, even if you have a permit, you can be arrested. Of course, those charges are for trespassing, which is a misdemeanor. Just because a business posts a sign on the window doesn't mean they're required to have any extra form of armed security. Former Mobile County Judge Rusty Johnson argues the signs give people the false illusion that they're safer than they would be if it wasn't gun-free. He thinks it's only a matter of time before it becomes the target of a lawsuit.
And I'm waiting for the lawsuit that somebody says, listen, I was disarmed when I went into gun-free zone, private one. I couldn't take my gun, and yet you had no security. And my child was killed.
Coming up at 6, we'll dive deeper into Mobile's gun-free policies and even talk to a detective from the Mobile County Sheriff's Office. For now, live at Hollywood Theater's Emily DeVoe, News 5.